Are you ready to get botified? Welcome to the Botified AI Podcast with your host, James Mitchell, where we explore the untapped potential of artificial intelligence and how you can live your best life through AI.
Hey there, I'm James Mitchell, and I am the host of the Botified Podcast. Thank you for joining me today on our very first inaugural episode of the Botified Podcast. So I'm super excited to talk to you today as we embark on this journey together in artificial intelligence. So since this is a first episode, I did want to take a minute and talk a little bit about myself so you know who you're talking to. Again, my name is James Mitchell, and in my day job, I am a product manager. I work mostly in retail. I've worked in travel and some other spaces before in the past. And I absolutely have become semi-obsessed with artificial intelligence. I spend every single day thinking about it, talking to people, reading about it, consuming content, just like you are. And it's absolutely something that I love, and I think that it's going to change the world as we know it, if it hasn't already started to for you. So I wanted to let you know a little bit what to expect in this podcast, the types of things we'll talk about, and then we'll jump right into it. So first off, I do like to start with headlines. I want to really talk to you about what's the news of the day. What are some of the most important things that you should know as you're going into this artificial intelligence world, and what can how can you use this to benefit and things like that. So that'll be one of the things on every episode. I will talk about some of the hot news headlines that are going on, as I'm really deep into the AI community right now, and I'm following a lot of things that are going on. The second part of the podcast, I'm going to bring, particularly when I'm solo podcasting, I'm going to talk about some of the ways that AI can help you personally, right? So that could mean professionally, could mean just you personally. Maybe you're an artist that wants to take your art game to the next level. I'll talk to you about how AI can help you do that. Maybe you're a content creator and you want to make sure that you can leverage AI in the way that you want to leverage it. I'll talk to you about how you can do that. Or maybe you're a business owner or an entrepreneur and you're really not sure how you can leverage AI. I want to give you some practical ideas on how you might be able to do that. And then third, I'm probably going to introduce a segment where I'm going to interview people, interesting people that are doing things in AI that I think that you could personally benefit from. So I'll bring on guests at times to talk about things, and hopefully you'll find that interesting. So that's it. That's the main topics. I will say that some of the things I won't talk about is, 20 ways to make $3,000 a week using AI. We won't have any episodes about that. That's not something that I'm here to talk about, although it's probably possible. It's not something that we're going to focus on here. I really want to just be practical. I want to be no nonsense, just like if you subscribe to the Botified newsletter, that's kind of our motto. We're very no nonsense about the content that we put out there. So hopefully this is helpful to you. And as we move forward here, let's just jump right into some news headlines. All right, the first news headline we're going to talk about is around Midjourney, and they recently launched a describe feature. So first off, if you're not familiar with Midjourney is a text-to-image platform. So basically, it's the platform behind many of the images that you've probably seen floating around, including some of the fakes that they're called deep fakes, basically, where Donald Trump or Vladimir Putin or whoever have surfaced, and they're in strange forms, such as police chasing after them and different things like that. So but the platform itself is absolutely amazing. If you haven't used it, I highly recommend it. I actually subscribe to it. I pay the monthly fee because I use it so often in my creative work. It's actually kind of made me feel like an artist where I can't actually draw anything. So I'm not an artist at all, but it is definitely something to check out. But uh, they've actually turned the tables a little bit on how to use Midjourney to where you can use this feature called /describe. So you basically type /describe inside the Discord channel, which is where Midjourney bot lives, and that's where you kind of generate your images. And you type /describe, and Midjourney will actually throw a prompt up to where you can upload your own image. And so this is a brand new feature. It's really cool. You upload your image, you type /describe, and you submit it. And then what Midjourney does is it attempts to describe the image and basically gives you a prompt. So it's kind of like a reverse way of doing the images. So on the Midjourney, typically you'll give it a prompt. Say you want to build you want to make an image of someone walking through the woods. You could just type in a man or a woman walking through the woods, and Midjourney will create the image for you, and it'll give you some variations. Well, this is the reverse of that, where you supply it with an image and ask it to describe something for you, and it will give you what the prompt could be. So why does this matter? Why is this really, really cool and important? Well, some of the things that it can actually impact, if you think about this, is things like accessibility. So people that have trouble seeing could let's say they have visual impairments. Accessibility is sometimes challenging with images on the web. Technology like this can help people who are visually impaired be able to understand what the images are better. Also, some other things, it could be used for captions, so auto captioning things for people. There's kind of a use case around detailed prompts, so you can get better prompts and things like that. So I actually gave it a try, and if you're on the video podcast, you'll be able to kind of see what's going on, but I'll describe it to the best of my ability here. So I had done an image before, and it's a Google logo that I had Midjourney create that has a lot of paint and things splashing out of it. And I had re-uploaded this image back to Midjourney to see what types of things it would actually spit out. And I really was interested to see whether it would pick up the fact that this is a Google logo or not, right? And so I uploaded it into the Midjourney and it output 4 prompts, and all 4 prompts actually recognized it as a Google logo, which is really cool. So the first one says, a Google logo splashed in colored paint on a gray background in the style of realism with surrealistic elements. That's a hard word to say. Detailed background elements, detailed attention, explosive abstracts, vibrant and textured sabatier effect. That's a new word for me. And rusty debris. So I learned a ton from just that one prompt, that idea that it gave me. It gave me 4 of those, so that the next time I go and want a prompt, I can actually, use this tool for that. So this is the Midjourney Describe feature. So the next news headline we're going to talk about is President Biden and his remarks on artificial intelligence. So on April 4th, he offered up some remarks from the White House on artificial intelligence. And he started by saying, America is the only nation in the world that can be defined, in my view, by a single word, possibilities. And he continued and said, in today, we're going to discuss the opportunities and risks of artificial intelligence. AI can help deal with some very difficult challenges like disease and climate change, but we also have to address the potential risks to our society, to our economy, to our national security. So just stopping there for a minute, I think what he's getting at here is, if you noticed recently in the press, there had been a call to basically pause artificial intelligence development, anything, GPT-5 type technology, which is past where we are today. We're at GPT-4 from OpenAI. there was an open letter sent out to pause everything. And I think in a way, the president is sort of commenting on this in a way. I could be wrong, but I think that that's kind of where this is coming from, because he mentions, some of the difficult challenges and risks, et cetera, that AI kind of comes with. So he went on to comment a little bit more and said, last October, we proposed a Bill of Rights to ensure the important protections are built into the AI systems from the start, not to have to go back and do it. And I look forward to today's discussion and ensuring responsible innovation and appropriate guardrails to protect America's rights and safety and protecting their privacy, and to address the bias and disinformation that is possible as well. So again, I think he's really getting at some of the risks that AI can pose, and I think that was pretty notable that he had mentioned this. And again, the timing, as I mentioned in the Botified newsletter, seemed to come in relation to that open letter that we had featured a couple weeks back. And so just thought that was very interesting news headline that I did want to share with you. All right, so the last news headline we're going to talk about is around Wonder Dynamics. And if you've been following anything lately in Twitter, this has been kind of all the rage from all the AI community. So Wonder Dynamics, they're basically an AI tool that automatically animates and lights and composes CG characters into live action scenes. So again, if you're on the video podcast, you can kind of see what this looks like, but I will describe it as well as I can here. But basically, Wonder Dynamics takes a movie shot or any kind of shot of movement of people, and you can literally drag and drop a different 3D character that has been provided by Wonder Dynamics into the shot. And then the shot will allow the character to come to life in the same motion and movements as the person in the original video. So it's really, really cool technology. I saw some content of some of our other fellow YouTube creators around this, where they did some actual tests of this. I'll drop a link in the show notes to that video. And it's a really amazing thing, but the tool does take a little bit. It's in beta right now. It does take a little bit to process this, but it really, in my mind, opens up the possibilities for some really, really interesting things that can be done in the world of video around this type of technology. And I don't think this is like a toy. I don't see this as something that's like, another AR filter or something that, we might find on Instagram or Facebook or something like that. I legitimately believe that this type of technology will revolutionize filmmaking, actually, and make this a lot simpler for filmmakers to use artificial intelligence to animate things in a whole nother way. And I'm going to wrap up the last bit here to talk a little bit about how we can leverage ChatGPT to be an AI consultant. And this is really cool, I think, personally. It's a really unique way to leverage ChatGPT. And one of the challenges, if you've used the tool a bit, is around the fact that it has a very limited amount of text that can come back to you at a given time. And sometimes you need a little bit more, meat, we'll say, to be output from ChatGPT to really get something meaningful back. So there is a way that you can prompt it by using a kind of 3-step formula within your prompt, where you ask ChatGPT to act as something. And I'll give you an example. You act as something, and you tell ChatGPT what the goal is. And then lastly, you give it an if/then statement. So let me explain. It's not that complicated. It may sound complicated to some, but it's actually not that complicated. So here's an example. So we say, hey, ChatGPT, I would like you to act as an amazing consultant who who works with B2B Fortune 500 companies, right? So you start with acting as, and this puts ChatGPT in the context of a consultant who works with B2B Fortune 500 companies. So the next step is to give ChatGPT some type of goal as that consultant. So you can say something like, the goal of this is to create the next best software as a service AI product, right? So that's the goal. So we have the context of being the consultant, and now we have the context of the goal. And this is optional, but you can throw this in if you want to have a little fun with it. But I put in the client, so the client's a CEO of one of the Fortune 500 companies or something. I don't know if that does anything different or not, but I thought that was interesting. But this is where the magic happens, and this is how you can get ChatGPT to output a lot of content at once. So you do an if/then statement. So for example, on this if/then statement, you can get ChatGPT to output a lot of content by simply doing this. You say, after each response, ask me if your output is good. If yes, then continue with the next response. If no, then rewrite and ask me if your output is good again. So basically what ends up happening here is ChatGPT will output, the response back to you. And at the end of the response, it'll say something like, is this output good, right? And so basically you can say, yes, this output is good. And if so, ChatGPT will go on to task number 1. So it'll say, task number 1 is this. And then it'll go through, and then it'll say, is this output good? And if I say no, it'll give you another version of it. If I say yes, it'll output the next task, etc. So it's a really, really cool way to prompt ChatGPT in such a way that you can get it to A, act like a consultant, and B, output a whole bunch of information in one go, so you don't have to continue, asking questions. You can just say yes, 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 etc. So I hope you found that interesting. I found it interesting. I've already been using this type of prompt in my day-to-day, and hope you find that very interesting and helpful to you. Well, hey, that wraps up this week's episode, and I really appreciate you tuning in and listening to this very first episode of the Botified Podcast. I had a lot of fun recording this. I plan to record some more. I hope you got a lot of value from this, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
That's all for today's Botified AI Podcast with James Mitchell. Keep embracing the power of AI to live your best life, and get ready for more exciting insights in our next episode.